Hi, my name is Laurie, and I struggle with bipolar disorder type 2 and borderline personality disorder. So the problem with having bipolar and BPD, one being a mood disorder, one being a personality disorder, is both of them affect my moods and affect whether or not I want to be around other people or how I handle situations or even how I make decisions. So the problem is I don't always know what's me and who I am and what's bipolar. And so this is one of those stories or those situations, and then how I've now used that to gauge whether it's actually me or bipolar disorder. So I saw a celebrity on YouTube in an interview talking about bipolar, and they were talking about overspending and how they buy, tons of tennis shoes. And I thought, that happened to me just recently, not buying tennis shoes, but it happened to me just recently that I overspent. And I was like, I wonder why we do that. Like, what part of our brain is acting up? What is it that is making us feel the need to spend money? And so I started looking that up, and I the very first thing that I came to said that overspending and being overly generous with others were symptoms of bipolar disorder. Well, I had never read that before. I knew overspending, and now that I've read it, it does make sense that being overly generous and giving to others is a symptom of bipolar. Well, I got really upset and depressed because I thought that was me. I thought that's who I was. I thought that's who God created me to be, and that God used that to help others. And I felt like that was something that, like, my earthly father, my dad, would be proud of. Like, oh, he'd be proud of me for that. And I just felt like that was who I was. Like, that is a huge part of me, is wanting to do nice things for others, wanting to help others who are struggling, wanting to give. And so I got really depressed, and I'm like, what is me? Like, who am I? And what is bipolar? Like, everything is a symptom of bipolar. Like, this is ridiculous. And I got really down about it and really upset about it. And so I started thinking, I'm like, okay, think of some situations, think of things that you've done for others, and let's try to figure this out. So this is what I did. I thought about a time when I lived in Florida with my elderly mom. My dad had died. I didn't have a job, but was going to therapy and psychiatrists and trying to get medications. And my mom was, letting me live with her and paying for that, but she didn't have a lot of money. And so we didn't have a lot of excess money. And so one day, for whatever reason, I had $400 in my wallet. I don't know if we had gone somewhere and been shopping, or if we had been to the bank. I don't know, because I usually don't carry a lot of money. I can name a handful of times. So I'm driving down the road, and I see an older homeless man with his shopping cart sitting in the park. Well, I had seen him before. I knew that he was homeless. And all of a sudden, I was just like, you need to stop and give him that $400. And so I stopped the car, and I walked across the street over to the park, and I just handed him the $400, and I said, this is from God. And I turned around and I walked off. Well, I didn't have the money to pay for my therapist that week. I didn't have the money to do anything extra that week. Like, we were on a budget, and I had just given away $400. And so now, keep in mind this, number one, I will never regret that as long as I live. I don't care. I had a place to go that night. I had an apartment, and I had a bed, and I had a place to go that night. I will never regret that. I don't care if it was a symptom of bipolar. But I look at it now, and everything shows that, yes, that was a symptom. I was overly generous. I was giving money that I didn't have, and I was saying it was in the name of God. So I see now, yeah, that was bipolar. So then there was another time when I was at a convenience store, and I'm standing in line, and this kid about 7 or 8 years old comes up, and he puts like $2 or $3 on the counter, and he said, my mom's at pump, whatever, and she needs $3 worth of gas. And I stood there for just a second, and I looked up at the guy working there, and I said, you know what? I said, hold off on that. And I said, I'm going to fill up her gas tank. So I told the little boy to take the money, and I went outside, and I told her I was going to fill up her gas tank. And so I don't know how much it cost. This was several years ago. I don't know how much gas was. And so I filled up her tank. But I knew that I had enough money to fill up her gas tank. I knew that I had enough money to fill up my gas tank and that I was going to go home and have a place to live. And I felt like, look, she has $3 worth of gas. You know, she's going to get $3 worth of gas. And it's like, this would ease her mind for a few days. Like to have a full tank of gas, to ease her mind, not to have to worry about it, not to have that stress. And I just thought that's the thing to do. So I thought, that's me. That's who I am. And that was something that was affordable at the time. And that's not something where I went to an extreme. And so now when I have a situation where I think, well, I want to do this for somebody, or I want to give this, or I stop and I think. And I'm like, okay, is this the homeless man? Or is this the lady with the kid that needed gas? And it's like, I have to stop and think, which one is it? Is this me? Is this who I am? And is this the right thing to do? Or am I out of balance here and this is bipolar and I'm going to do this and this is going to put me and my family in a bind because we don't have the money to pay for it. So anyway, that was something that was new to me, and it's something that I figured out a way to gauge it, and it could work in any area. It doesn't have to be about finances, but it's about finding that thing that you did that was more balanced and normal, and then finding that thing that you did that was more extreme for the good or the bad. And then when a new situation comes up, you know, just say, hey, is it the homeless man or is it the tank of gas? And anyway, that's been helpful for me, so I thought I would share. Thank you for watching. Bye.